Hey y'all, it's Bailey with Reclaim Grace. I'm so happy you clicked on this video. I have 5 projects ready for y'all today, 4 thrift lips and 1 blue and white china wreath. I love how that one came out. Y'all let me know which project is your favorite and we're going to get started right now. Hello, I hope everyone is doing well today. Our first project is this ceramic planter. It's actually raw ceramic. It's never been finished or painted, so it's very porous. I'm going to come in with a Fusion all-in-one paint. This is kind of like a cooler white tone, and I'm going to apply 2 coats all over the outside, including the bottom and around the little feet. And the inside was looking a bit yellow, so I gave it 2 fresh coats of paint as well. I'm going to use some transfers on the outside of our planter, and I'm going to use some from Katharina. This is a new transfer book that came out this spring, and I've cut 4 designs out that I'm going to put 1 transfer on each side. I love these pair of birds right here, so I wanted that one front and center. I'm going to wrap the edges of the transfer around the sides of the planter, and I'm just going to press all over at first and then pick an edge and start lifting and rubbing at the same time. And the transfer went on beautifully on top of this all-in-one paint. I'm just going to apply one of these transfers on each side, and once I get them transferred on well, I'm going to go over all 4 sides with that backing that they came on and just burnish them down very well just to make sure they have made good contact with the planter. Next, I'm going to come in with Pentart 2-component fine line crackle medium, and we're going to start by applying the component 1 all over the outside of our planter. I'm going in a random-ish pattern, some cross-hatch motions with my paintbrush, applying some of component 1 thicker in some areas and thinner in other areas. This will create a more natural crackle. Once component 1 feels a little tacky, mine took about an hour and a half, I'm then going to come in with component 2 with a new paintbrush and do the same cross-hatch motions with my paintbrush and apply component 2 all over the outside of the planter. I did apply component 2 too thick, and once I set it aside to dry, when I came back to it, it had runs, these yellow runs. And my transfers had cracks in them. I think what would have kept the transfer from cracking is by sealing the transfers first before coming in with the component 1 crackle. I'll do that next time and test it and see how it works. But now I'm just going to bring out the crackle we just created and age this piece up by using Fusion's Aging Wax. I'm just going to wipe it on and then wipe it off. And that's all for this project. I'm not going to say it's my favorite one from today's video, but I like how it came out. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this project. I priced it for $14.95. Our second project, we're starting off with this grapevine wreath my mom gave me. And I picked up these blue and white saucer dishes from Coppermill. I paid $25 for 7 dishes, but we're going to be using 5 in this project. And as you can see, we're creating that China wreath. I picked up these plate hangers off of Temu. They have like a sticky back to them, and the sticky on these backs are sticky. It works very well. I'm going to put one on the top, really press down well, and then position another one on the bottom. I did this to all 5 plates. We are going to be attaching these plates with some floral wire. I picked up this spool from Hobby Lobby for $2.99, and I picked out a thicker gauge. I do not want our plates falling off the wreath. I'm going to start off by pulling off a pretty long piece of wire to start off with, because I'm just trying to figure out the best method here. But I ran it through that plate hook on the back of the plate, just one hook I'm going to start off with, and then I'm going to flip the wreath over and secure the wire by just wrapping it around very tightly, and then wrapping the wire a few times on itself. Then I just took one of the pieces and fed it back through the second plate holder, pulled very tight. I decided to go around a second time. This was my first one. I'm trying to figure it out. Pull it very tight, and then I twisted those 2 wires together. Then I'm going to cut off any excess wire and kind of push it into the wreath so it doesn't scratch anybody's wall. Then I'm going to give it a little jiggle test, make sure it's up there good, and I really don't think this is going anywhere. So we're going to move on with that method on the other 4 plates. Just using that wire to securely wrap it around the grapevine wreath. I like to do it facing me, and then once I get the position figured out, I'll flip the wreath upside down and then twist the wire very tight. So now all 5 plates are good and up there. If I had to do this project over again, I would not have used these plate hangers. I would have used the actual plate. I don't know what they're called, but they're metal, and it's like a little clip that you put on the top and bottom of a plate, and it has a little spring on the back. Those would have secured it better, I believe, and not gave as much wiggle room as we have right now. But they're up there and they are not going anywhere, so it is fine. Now I'm going to work on my greenery. I picked up a few different types of greenery from Hobby Lobby when it was 40% off the floral section. The great thing about using a grapevine wreath is you really don't have to do much gluing. I have my hot glue gun handy just in case, but you can really just shove the stems in between the grapevines and it stays perfectly. And I also like doing it better this way in case I need to reposition anything. I am not a professional wreath maker, as you can see. So I like the freedom of being able to remove it and try again. But I'm just going to place this thicker greenery in first to get my staples, I guess you could say, into place. And then I'm going to use this smaller greenery. I cut everything off of its original pick so I can have more freedom to put where I want it. And I decided to put some on the inside ring of the wreath too. And I wanted this to be very flowy and very full. Now, these naked parts right here, that's when I'm going to use my hot glue and just fill in those naked spots with some pieces. And I even brought out some moss, and I'm going to hot glue that to a few other naked spots. I'm sure y'all have seen this inspiration China wreath on Pinterest, so that's definitely where I got inspired to recreate this project. But I did not want to damage the plates, so that was very important to me. For someone, if they wanted to take the plates off, they would be able to. So now we're going to work on our bow. I picked up this roll of ribbon from Hobby Lobby too, and it was actually 40% off sale as well. So I think it was about $1.50. I'm going to do a 5-loop bow, and I did my tail separately and my camera cut off, but I'm just using wire to secure the middle and to secure the tail, and then I use that same wire to attach it to the top of the wreath. Y'all, look at this wreath. It is gorgeous. I am so proud of myself for making this. Like, I love this wreath. If I sell it, I'd probably sell it for $150. Ugh. I mean, I have about $50 in materials right here. So y'all let me know what y'all think about that price. I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep it for a little while. It looks great on my wall. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this project. Our next project, we're starting off with this black sheep canvas I picked up from Temu. I've already got it decoupaged on a piece of 1/4-inch plywood that's going to fit this old vintage oval frame that was actually gifted to me. Oh man, I love this frame. We're going to be putting milk paint on this, so I want to just prime this frame with a few coats of shellac base primer. As that primer was sitting up and drying, I'm going to mix up my milk paint. I'm going to use Flour Sack by Sweet Pickins, and I always start off with 2 scoops of powder with 2 scoops of water. That seems to be a nice starting off mixture. Just going to whisk that up for a few minutes, then I'll set it to the side and let it thicken for about 10 to 15 minutes. I'm just going to get this first coat applied, really working the paint into all the gorgeous details of this frame. I always dry in between coats with my heat gun. That really force dries the paint into place and creates some gorgeous crazing and crackle. Will y'all please let me know if y'all get tired of seeing certain projects? I just really enjoy making wall decor and canisters. Those are like my 2 favorite things to make over. So just throwing that out there. Let me know if I feel like if I'm working on something for my booth, I might as well record it and show y'all. But if y'all don't feel the same, y'all let me know down in the comments. As you can see, I'm applying that second coat and it really sticks on to that first coat. I only had to apply 2 coats to this frame. Once our paint was good and dry, we need to seal up the milk paint. I'm going to come in first with DIY clear wax. I'm just using a little chippy brush here to apply a nice even layer of the clear wax. And before I wipe it off or, rub it in or anything, I'm going to come in with Fusion's aging wax right on top of that wet clear wax and work the dark wax into all the crackle from the milk paint and into all the details of the frame. I will go ahead and apply the dark wax to the entire frame, and then I will come in with some shop towels and wipe off both waxes at the same time. If for some reason it gets a little too dark, I can always come in with a little bit more clear wax and use it as an eraser. I put the Temu print into my frame. I finished off the back like you've seen me do probably 100 times, and I love how this one came out. I priced it for $59.95 and it sold within a week. What do y'all think about this one? Moving on to our next project is this side table, or could be a stool bench situation I picked up for $7.99 from Salvation Army. This thing was pretty filthy, so we're going to start off by just giving it a good wipe down, getting rid of all the shop dust and grime, furniture polish, whatever could be on it, we need to get it off. Once my cleaner was good and dry, now I'm going to come in with some 120 grit sandpaper on my orbital sander, and I'm going to start sanding down the stain on the top of our bench. I really wanted to bring back this section to the raw wood look, and while I have the sander out, I'm going to go ahead and scuff up the rest of the surface while I'm at it. Wipe back all that dust one more time, and then I taped up that top because we just got it sanded down to that raw wood, and I didn't want to get anything on it while we proceed to the next steps. I'm going to prime this pine wood with about 3 coats of shellac base primer. Like I said, this little side table is made out of pine, so it has a lot of knots in it, and those are notorious for bleeding through white paint. Once my primer was dry, I love using shellac-based primer because it dries within 10 to 15 minutes, and you can keep on working. I'm going to apply all-in-one fusion paint. I believe this is cashmere. I'm going to get this first layer of paint on, just trying to keep my brush strokes going in one direction. And once that was dry, I'm going to come in with some fine grit sandpaper and my electric sander and just go over the top of it just to make sure the paint is smoothed out. I do not want to see any brush strokes. Going to wipe away that dust one more time and go ahead and get my second coat on. I only did 2 coats of cashmere to get full coverage. I let that dry overnight, and then I'm going to remove the tape and paper from the top, and then we're going to distress our table. I went pretty heavy on the distressing around the edges and corners, and then I did some light distressing on the flat areas as well. We are going to be adding a paint inlay to this flat section. I grabbed these gorgeous roses from Lattice Rose Paint Inlay. This is an Iron Orchid Designs. And I'm just misting the paint side of the inlay, and I'm going to apply Dixie Belle Flat Clear Coat to that area. I'm going to apply the clear coat to about half of that surface. Get that spread around, and then I'm going to place my inlay. I kind of fold it in half so I can get into that corner very tight across the top edge, and then I will just kind of work out the wrinkles with my fingers and then move on to the second half of that top apron. Once I get them applied, I'm going to mist over the top very well, and then I'm just going to use this blue shop towel just to press the design into that apron, and here is what it's looking like. I went and did the opposite side, and now I'm going to work on this bottom shelf section. I had to kind of piece together the inlay here because I did not have quite enough of a first use inlay, and I wanted it to be bold and match the apron parts. So I just kind of cut up a few pieces to fit in this area, and I'm going to apply this exact same way into that Dixie Belle Flat Clear Coat. Mist the inlay, get off any excess water, then we will just let them dry. Once they are fully dry, we're going to re-mist. Make sure it's good and wet. If it's not wet, you will struggle peeling up that paper. I struggled a little bit here. It was resisting some, so I just misted it a little bit more, gave it a few seconds, and kind of pulled back a different edge. I'm going to pull very slowly so my paper doesn't rip, and I will just set this paper to the side because I can reuse it again. If you see that bottom middle section right there, that is actually what a second use will look like. It's very, very faint, but some people like that second use better than the first use. I personally do not. I'm going to remist this section and peel off the inlays on this side and the opposite side. Now we need to seal up those paint inlays. I didn't want to risk smearing the design on that white paint, so I'm going to use a spray sealer. Went over that section of the paint inlays about 2 times, letting the coats dry in between. And now we're going to come back and work on the top. I'm using Paint Couture Van Dyke Brown Glaze, and I'm going to mist that raw wood and use a baby wipe to apply the glaze on the top and around the edges. I did decide to do 2 coats of this glaze, letting it dry in between coats for about an hour because I did want this a little bit darker than it was looking after 1 coat. I'm going to take this glaze and apply it to the whole side table because I want this piece, I cannot talk today. I want this piece to look aged, so I'm just going to wipe it on with a baby wipe, dab it off with a baby wipe, and I will come in with a blue shop towel and wipe off a little bit extra, and it kind of just gives it a little grungy look, really sticks to the distressing we made with the sander. What do y'all think about this piece? I personally think I distressed it a little bit too much on the edges, but I still love how it came out. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I priced it for $45. I did forget to mention I sealed the top with a matte polyacrylic 2 coats. I think this would be a cute little plant stand for a little garden nook in a sunroom. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this one. Our next project is this wooden stool. I've had this stool for probably a few months. I'm sure I only paid a couple dollars for it. I had to do a little gluing on the bottom. It was coming undone. I just stuck some glue in there and put a few brad nails to hold it together. I'm going to start off by giving it a good sand. It had some really rough something on the top, and I just wanted to sand that down a little bit, and I did give it a couple coats of shellac base primer. We're going to be using milk paint on this stool. I'm going to use olive. I start off with 2 scoops of powder and 2 scoops of water. Whisk that very well and let it sit up for about 10 to 15 minutes. I absolutely love this green. It's one of my favorite Sweet Pickins colors, but I am dying to try out the new Jamie Ray vintage. I think it's called Cheshire. I don't know. It's like a blue-green Bespoke brand that Jamie Ray just put out. It was like a collab with Sweet Pickins. Really want to try out that color. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply the milk paint all over the stool. I started off by flipping it upside down and painting the bottom with 2 coats, drying in between with my heat gun. Then I'll flip it over and put 2 coats on the top, drying in between each layer with my heat gun. I was not going to add anything else to this stool, but I decided to add some stamping from the Shade and Song new spring release stamp by IOD. I used this stamp in last week's projects or the week before, and it was my first time using it, and I love this little branch design. I'm going to use my black IOD permanent ink. I'm just inking up the back of the stamp. I'm using the plastic sheet that comes with the stamp to just hold my stamp in place, and I'm going to press all over the design. You'll see me press all over, pick up, take a little peek just to see if I'm missing any areas, and I did miss an area, so I'm going to press that area and then lift up the other side just to make sure I'm getting the impression I'm looking for. Then I'm just going to pick straight up. I heat set that ink, made sure it was fully dry, and then I'm going to seal over this milk paint with Fusion's Aging Wax. I really love using this on top of this olive. It just deepens that color a little bit and it makes the crackle stand out. This was a very easy project, but I love how it came out. I priced it for $19.95, and I think it is a cute addition to the side table we created. That is all I have for y'all today, my friends. I really hope y'all enjoyed today's projects. If you did, hit that like button. Let me know which one is your favorite down in the comments. And if you got any inspiration from today's video, consider subscribing if you have not already. Thank y'all so much for spending your time with me today. I'll talk to y'all in the comments. Bye.